So in this class, we are going to talk about reduction and oxidation reactions of aldehydes and ketone. So you can see here that I'm going to begin with reduction of aldehydes and ketones. So in reduction reaction, basically there are two name reactions that you have to study. One is Clemmensen reaction. So Clemmensen reduction, all the name reactions, as I have told you earlier, are very important and you must pay attention. You must focus on these reactions because many times they are asked in board exams as well. So all the name reactions, if you study, then you will be able to do at least a substantial part of the organic part of chemistry. So for Clemmensen and Wolff-Kishner reduction are basically the same type of reaction. The only difference is in the use of reagent. The product that we get is the similar product. By Clemmensen reduction and as Wolff-Kishner reduction, the aldehydes and ketones are converted to alkanes. So you can see over here that we have got an carbonyl group over here, and carbonyl group is getting converted to an alkane. So when you write down the reaction, I will tell you that what are the thing that you have to keep in mind, because many times students make a mistake while writing the product for Clemmensen and Wolff-Kishner reduction. So for Clemmensen, we'll begin with this one. You can see that the reagent is zinc amalgam. Zinc amalgam is an alloy. The word amalgam means alloy of mercury. So zinc amalgam means it is an alloy of zinc and mercury. You can see over here it is written as Zn and Hg. Along with this, we need a strong acidic medium, and strong acidic medium is, here we are using concentrated HCl. So in presence of zinc amalgam and concentrated HCl, the carbonyl compound is converted to an alkane and the byproduct is water. So this is a Clemmensen reduction. So I have written two examples I have taken over here. Just see the two examples that I have taken here. So in the first case, I have written the reaction for an aldehyde. We have ethanol here. Ethanol, when we use these reagent combination, the reagent combination, that's why I have written do over here. So upon using this reagent combination, ethanol is getting converted to an alkane. What you have to keep in mind over here, that the alkane formed will have same number of carbon atoms as you have it in the reactant. So if you have got two carbon atoms over here, see, this is the first one and the second one. So in the product also, an alkane of two carbon atoms should be formed. What students make a mistake over here, in the general form it is written CH2. So when they write the product, in this case they will write here CH3 and CH2. Now that will become wrong, because if you write CH3 and CH2, then the valency of the second carbon here will not be fulfilled, and then the product will become wrong. It will not be, so they write it like this, CH3. Now since in the general form of the book it's written as CH2 over here, so the product they will write as CH3 and CH2 because it's given in the general form. But this is wrong. You cannot write an alkane like this. You have to satisfy the valency of all carbon atoms. So this becomes wrong. So that must be kept in mind. Now second example I have taken is of a ketone. Look over here. CH3, C double bond O, CH2, CH3. That it is a butanone. 2-butanone we have over here. So again, when a ketone will be reduced by Clemmensen reduction, it will get converted to an alkane. So what alkane you have to write? You have to write the alkane of 4 carbon atom, that is butane. So butanone will be converted to butane along with the byproduct. Now there are two types of reactions. So two types of questions which are asked. In the first case, they can ask you to write down the product of the reaction. The question could be, write down the product of the following reaction. The second way it can be asked is, complete the following reaction. So if it is asked as complete the following reaction, and if you do not mention the byproduct, then your answer will be wrong and you will not be given any marks for it. So kindly read the question whatever it is asked. Many times write the structure of the main product, they say. Other time they can say they complete the reaction or write the main product of the reaction. So accordingly you have to answer the question. So make a habit of writing the byproducts also. If you make a habit of writing the byproducts also, then you will not have any problem and you will not lose your marks because of that. Now the next reduction reaction is Wolff-Kissner reduction. Wolff-Kissner reduction is similar to Clemmenchen reduction. The only difference is in the use of reagent. In the first case, we had used the reagent as zinc amalgam and concentrated HCl. Now see here, in this case we use the reagent as hydrazine. You know what hydrazine is? NH2 is known as hydrazine. So basically Wolff-Kissner reduction takes place in two steps. In first step, the carbonyl group reacts with hydrazine, and this reaction you have already studied. What type of reaction it is? It is nucleophilic addition reaction. You have studied in this the table when we were discussing nucleophilic addition reaction, and when this carbonyl group will react with hydrazine, the product form will be hydrazone. We call this product as hydrazone. And when hydrazone is formed, water is eliminated. So look here, it's written over here minus H2O. Minus H2O means elimination of water molecule is taking place. So in the first step, carbonyl group reacts with hydrazine to form hydrazone, and in the second step you can see we have got either the reaction takes place in presence of potassium hydroxide or sodium hydroxide. That means we need a strong basic medium in ethylene glycol. Now in your book a term is used over here that the hydrazone formed reacts with potassium or sodium hydroxide in high boiling solvent. So high boiling word means over here that we need to have a solvent whose boiling point is high. So ethylene glycol has got a boiling point of 197 degrees Celsius. The boiling point of ethylene in 109, this is 197 degrees Celsius. So we cannot use, if a question comes like can we use water instead? No, we cannot use water instead because this reaction is carried in presence of high boiling liquid. High boiling liquid means liquid which has got high boiling point. So ethylene glycol has got high boiling point. What is the reason that ethylene glycol is having high boiling point? Because you know ethylene glycol has got 2 OH group. What is ethylene glycol? Ethylene glycol means 2 carbon. This is, and on both the carbon you have got OH. This is ethylene, it is a diol. It is a diol. That means 2 OH group. So if it is having 2 OH group, then due to extensive hydrogen, this is ethylene glycol. So ethylene glycol is used over here as a solvent. The purpose of using ethylene glycol as the solvent is that high temperature is required for the reaction to take place, and this high boiling liquid provides the high temperature and facilitates the reduction reaction. So ethylene glycol is used. Ethylene glycol has got so much of high boiling point because it has got 2 OH groups, so extensive hydrogen bonding occurs, and so it has got high boiling point. So I hope this part is clear. Now we will have what is the difference between Clemmenchen and Wolff-Kissner reduction. So I told you the similarity. The similarity is that in both the cases a carbonyl group is converted to an alkane. This is the similarity. Then what is the difference? The difference is that in Clemmenchen the byproduct is water, while in Wolff-Kissner the byproduct is nitrogen. This is the main difference. Another difference is that Clemmenchen is carried out in strong acidic medium, whereas Wolff-Kissner is carried out in strong basic medium. You can see over here KOH or NaOH. So these are the basically two differences between Clemmenchen reduction and Wolff-Kissner reduction, but the main product in both the cases will be same. Now we come to the next part. Look here. We are talking about now oxidation. Till now we were talking about reduction of aldehydes and ketones. Now we are talking about oxidation. Now aldehydes can easily be oxidized. Either they can be oxidized by using strong oxidizing agents like KMnO4, potassium dichromate, or nitric acid, as I have mentioned over here. These are strong oxidizing agents, or we can also oxidize aldehydes by using mild oxidizing agents. The mild oxidizing agents like Tollens reagent or Fehling's reagent can oxidize aldehydes to carboxylic acid. See, carboxylic acid. Now, another thing that you have to keep in mind over here, that if the reduction is carried out in acidic medium like nitric acid, then aldehyde is converted to carboxylic acid. I repeat, if oxidation is carried out in acidic medium, aldehyde is converted to carboxylic acid. But if we use a basic medium, then aldehyde is converted to salt of carboxylic acid. Salt of carboxylic acid, as you have seen in case of Cannizzaro reaction. Cannizzaro reaction is a disproportionation reaction in which a aldehyde not having alpha hydrogen gets converted to, it's oxidized and also reduced. So it is reduced to a primary alcohol and oxidized to salt of carboxylic acid. So why was aldehyde converted to salt of carboxylic acid? Because the reaction takes place in presence of concentrated KOH or NaOH. That means strong basic medium, strong alkaline medium. So the difference is that, again I repeat the difference, if aldehyde is oxidized in presence of acidic medium, it gets converted to carboxylic acid. But if it is oxidized in presence of basic medium or alkaline medium, then it gets converted to salt of carboxylic acid, and in that case we will write the reaction, the product as RCOO and then minus over here. This minus represents that, RCOO minus represents that it is salt of carboxylic acid. So now we are going to discuss about what are Tollens reagent and Fehling's reagent. So Tollens reagent is ammonical silver nitrate. Ammonical silver nitrate means that silver ion is dissolved in ammonia or ammonical solution. So when silver ion is dissolved in ammonia, it's called ammonical silver nitrate or Tollens reagent. So Tollens reagent is also a mild oxidizing agent, and Fehling's reagent, it is a combination of two solutions. This part will help you in your practical, and viva questions could be asked to you. So listen to it carefully. So Fehling's reagent is a combination of two solutions which is known as Fehling A and Fehling B. It is a combination of Fehling A and Fehling B. So when we prepare Fehling solution in the lab before testing, we mix equal volume of both the solution and then the Fehling's reagent is prepared. So when I will be taking you to the lab, you have done it in class 11th also, this experiment. I had prepared Fehling's reagent, and that Fehling's reagent is blue in color, and I prepared it by mixing two different types of solutions, Fehling A and Fehling B, in equal amount, so volume. So now what is Fehling A? Fehling A is aqueous copper sulfate solution. The aqueous, that means copper sulfate when dissolved in water, is known as aqueous copper sulfate. So aqueous copper sulfate is Fehling's A, whereas Fehling B is alkaline sodium potassium tartrate. That means sodium potassium salt of tartaric acid in alkaline medium forms Fehling's B. So these are the two types of reagent which are mixed to get Fehling's reagent. Now I will see the next part. Now we are going to discuss about the reaction, that how can we differentiate between aldehydes and ketones. Suppose if I give you a carbonyl compound and you have to identify which is an aldehyde and which one is a ketone, then you can differentiate between an aldehyde and a ketone on the basis of Tollens test or Fehling's test. So what is a Tollens test? On warming an aldehyde with freshly prepared Tollens reagent, silver mirror is produced. So if you take a little sample of an aldehyde in the test tube and if you add few drops of freshly prepared Tollens reagent to it, and if you warm it on water bath, then what you will get is a silver mirror. So silver mirror will be seen on the wall of the test tube, and this silver mirror is due to formation of silver over here. You can see that silver is formed. So the reaction occurs, what you have to keep in mind is that reaction occurs in alkaline medium. So in this case you have to remember the reaction. This reaction is important. You can see that this is Tollens reagent. It is a complex of silver in ammonia. Complex of silver ion in ammonia. So what is a complex? You will study about these substances in coordination compounds. So when aldehyde reacts with ammonical silver nitrate, and in the basis of, you can see 3OH minus over here, that means the reaction, it takes place in alkaline medium. NaOH is added to it, and then you will get, I told you just few minutes back that in alkaline medium aldehyde is oxidized to salt of carboxylic acid, and that is why it is written over here RCOO minus. So this is, you can see that salt of carboxylic acid is formed in the alkaline medium, which I told you just now. So you can see here, and then silver is formed, silver, and because of this deposition of silver mirror is formed on the walls of the test tube, and along with that water and ammonia are the byproducts. So on the basis of Tollens state you can identify a aldehyde from a ketone. Ketones will not give this reaction. I will tell you the reason why, but ketones do not give Tollens test. Now the second test is Felling's test. As I told you, Felling's test. On heating aldehydes with Felling reagent, you have to take a little sample of aldehyde in the test tube. You have to add Felling's reagent to it, and upon heating, if you get reddish brown precipitate, it is then you can say that aldehyde is present in the given sample. It is not a ketone. So Tollens test and Felling's test are used to differentiate aldehyde from a ketone. Ketones do not give this test. Why ketones do not give Tollens test or Felling's test? Because ketones are difficult to oxidize. They can only be oxidized under drastic condition. That means with strong oxidizing agent and at higher temperature. They cannot undergo oxidation under normal conditions with mild oxidizing agent. So, and another thing, aromatic aldehydes will also not give this test. So, you have to remember here the reaction. And in this, you can see that this is cupric ion, and cupric ion is converted to copper oxide, and because of the formation of copper oxide, reddish brown precipitate is formed. You know that copper forms two types of oxide, cuprous oxide and cupric oxide. Cupric oxide is CuO, which is black in color. This is cuprous oxide over here. Cuprous oxide, and cupric oxide is red in color, and that is why formation of reddish brown precipitate. This is the precipitate which is formed during the reaction. And the last part here says that ketones are oxidized only under vigorous condition. As I told you, vigorous condition means under the presence of strong oxidizing agent and only at higher temperature. So see, what happens when ketones undergo oxidation, you can see that various bonds are broken. Various carbon-carbon bonds are broken. So see the product, this is the product. How will this product be formed? This product will be formed when this bond is cleaved. When this bond is cleaved, you will get as RCOOH. When do you get this product? You get this product on the formation, again same bond. This is one carboxylic acid and this is second carboxylic acid by the cleavage of that bond. Now you have got third product also. When will this product be formed? This product will be formed when this bond is cleaved. When this bond is cleaved, this part will form the corresponding carboxylic acid, and this will be the second carboxylic acid. That's why we get a mixture of 4 products in this case. So you can see that ketones are oxidized only under vigorous condition. They are difficult to oxidize. The presence of strong oxidizing agent is needed. Along with high temperature, different carbon-carbon bonds are broken and we get a mixture of different carboxylic acids. Mild oxidizing agents will not be able to oxidize ketones at all. So Fehling's and Tollens test work only on aldehydes. Now we come to the next one. As I told you, oxidation of methyl ketones by using sodium hypohalite. This reaction, this is the next part, oxidation of methyl ketone. What is a methyl ketone? So methyl ketone means when to the C double bond O, when a methyl group is attached, it is known as methyl ketone. Look over here. In this example, to the C double bond O, CH3 group is present. So this is a methyl group. All the time it cannot be a methyl group. If instead of here we have got an ethyl group, then this compound will not be called as methyl ketone. So I hope what is methyl ketone is clear to you. When a methyl ketone reacts with sodium hypohalite, what is hypohalite? NaOX. In place of X you can have chlorine, bromine or iodine. So if you have chlorine, it is called sodium hypochlorite. If it is bromine, then sodium hypobromite or sodium hypoiodide. So when this happens, then this carbon gets converted into halo form. This is known as halo form. If you have chlorine over here, then it will be known as chloroform. If you have bromine in presence of X, you will have bromoform. अगर यहाँ पे हमने iodine लगा दिया तो बन गया वो iodoform. ठीक है, तो इसको बोलते हैं हैलोफॉर्म. ये वाला पार्ट जो हो गया ये हैलोफॉर्म हो गया. तो अगर हम यहाँ पे X की जगह आयोडीन यूज करें तो ये जो कंपाउंड बनेगा ये येलो कलर का कंपाउंड बनेगा और इसी से हम एक मिथाइल कीटोन को आइडेंटिफाई कर सकते हैं. अभी देखते हैं वो रिएक्शन कि कैसे हम इसको यूज करके मिथाइल कीटोन को आइडेंटिफाई कर सकते हैं. In this case, you can see that iodoform test I have written. What is an iodoform test? This is a methyl ketone. Why it is a methyl ketone? This is the ketonic group. Look, this is a ketonic group and you have got a methyl group which is attached over here. And when the reaction is carried out in presence of sodium hypoiodide, then see this part. This part is getting converted to sodium salt of carboxylic acid. This is sodium salt of carboxylic acid, and the methyl which was attached to the carbonyl carbon will get converted into iodoform. This is iodoform. CHI3 is iodoform and it forms yellow precipitate. Now it's not that only methyl ketone gives iodoform test. Any group like this one, look here, this one, this is ethanol. Ethanol will also give iodoform test. It will also form a yellow precipitate with sodium hypoiodide. Why it will form? Because in presence of sodium hypoiodide, this ethanol will get oxidized to aldehyde and aldehyde will give the reaction. Similarly, ethanol will also give iodoform test, and then this is isopropyl alcohol will also give iodoform test. So see, these are the compounds which can also give iodoform test besides a methyl ketone. So that's all for today.